On today's show, a historic night at the Intuit Dome ends in heartbreak as the Clippers lose by 3 points to the dreaded nemesis Phoenix Suns. What went wrong and how was the first night at Intuit Dome? So much to talk about on today's Locked On. We're back, Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and just began my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where a crazy, historic video will be out on Thursday detailing my experience at the Intuit Dome for opening night and featured so many fans. I can't even believe it. And of course, Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. I want you to let me know what you thought of opening night. Just let it all out. And if you were at the Intuit Dome, let me know what you thought of the experience for you. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Head over to FanDuel.com to place bets on just about everything. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know where to begin. But I just have to say that that was one of the craziest games I've ever been to in my life. Not in the sense of the game itself. It was, even though it was a great game. 116 and 113. The Clippers lose it, though, to Phoenix in overtime. And I haven't been to that many overtime games in my life, believe it or not. But the Intuit Dome experience. It was breathtaking, man. It was... I kept asking fans, and the amount of fans, I said this in the preseason game, but the amount of fans that came up to me tonight or on Wednesday night. I'm recording this at 4 in the morning right now. I rewatched the game on TV because I wanted to give the most accurate analysis to you I could give. And I still have work in the morning, of course, but got to get it out. Everybody was in awe. I was so overwhelmed with the amount of people that came up and said they listened to the show or they watched Dime Dropper or whatever it may be. It's only been a couple of months since Game 5 of the playoffs last year, which was the last home game I attended, that actually mattered. And I don't know what happened this summer, or if more people started watching the vlogs, or if more real Clipper fans are coming to these games. But it seems like so many people, more people know me now, and I just can't say enough about how appreciative I am of all of you. Like it's truly surreal. I want to keep encouraging all of you to come say what's good. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted, and it's a dream come true, for real. And please keep featuring in my video. I want everybody to hear about what Clipper fans are saying, but what a game, huh? A heartbreaker. I'm going to talk all about it, but let's just begin by saying that the crowd was insane. That was the loudest regular season crowd I've ever heard at a Clipper game, bar none, end of story. And we had some really loud games with Lob City in the beginning, but this stadium came to life on Wednesday night. Everything Ballmer said about the noise and the wall, it happened. I was able to get into the supporters section. By the way, I showed up on TV in overtime. That cameraman, I thought he was working for the Clippers. He was working for ESPN. He got me in. I was wearing a Lamar Odom jersey that was given to me by my boy Dave out in Birmingham. And I was on TV in overtime. So that was pretty funny. By the way, if you guys are watching on YouTube, the hat I bought, Clipper cursive, had to, just got it on Wednesday night, and they gave out a rally towel in the supporters section. Go Clips Go. Not a huge fan of the Go Clips Go chant. It feels very imitation Spurs and LA Kings, but love the red Clipper cursive. And then they gave everybody a complimentary compass that's really dope. It has the date of the opening night. When you open it up, it's the Clipper logo, and it says welcome home, and it has, I guess, the latitude and longitude. Pretty dope. So, amazing atmosphere. It was so loud, especially late in the game, and the energy was there right away. As I said in the previous pods, the wall just makes way more sense, being right behind this, the supporter section being right behind this, the basket. But also, the wall in preseason outside of the supporter section was non-existent. Whereas on Wednesday night, it was alive. And it was loud, and it was special, and it felt like a playoff game in there. And I'll genuinely admit to everybody listening to this, that game was louder than games 1, 2, and 5 of the playoffs last year. It wasn't even, I think it was significantly louder. And a lot of it's just the stadium. But it also feels like there's been less Laker infiltration and neutrals coming to the game. And there were some empty seats up top. So maybe the attendance will be a little bit weaker. But the concentration of Clipper fans at the games will be much higher. And that's going to make for a much better crowd. And it was such a great crowd. So it was such a disappointment that we couldn't pull it off. Phoenix is exactly what I thought they were. They're not very impressive. They did get a gutsy win. But man, we should have had it. We should have had it. It was such an interesting game because we began the game by being really aggressive on the offensive glass and taking it to him a bit. But Zubac got in foul trouble early. And Terance Mann was getting in foul trouble. And it was neck and neck the whole first quarter. And then the second quarter, everything that I said about our offense and how stagnant it could get and how it was really just dependent on James Harden and Kevin Porter Jr. to do everything was starting to come to fruition in front of our eyes. And it was rough to watch. It was very stagnant. James Harden wasn't even looking at the basket. And we were down 45-29 at one point. We're able, though, to cut the deficit down to 8 at the half. So it was only 47-39 at half. We got outscored 24-17 in the second. So only 17 points in the second. And a lot of it was because we were getting very careless with the ball. Now in the third quarter, we punched back, and it was Derrick Jones Jr., Ivica Zubac, and James Harden who really woke up, especially James Harden, who had 16 points in the third quarter, and Zubac, who was in foul trouble and getting pushed a little too far out of the paint when he was trying to post up in the first half, was playing with a total different demeanor in that second half. I don't know what coaches talked to James Harden and Ivica Zubac at halftime, but whatever they said worked because they came out with a whole different intensity. We outscored the Suns 35-25 in the third quarter. We were up 74-72 going into the fourth. James Harden had taken over the game, was killing in drop coverage, taking advantage of the smaller Tyus Jones. And in the fourth quarter, what an exciting game it was. But here's what was interesting. We actually had a lineup because Kevin Porter Jr. was so poor, just over dribbling, defense wasn't great, missed open shots, just kind of ball pounding away. We had a lineup that was Kris Dunn, so no KPJ or Harden, which I said was going to be very, very impossible to run. But we ran it for like 5 minutes from like 10 minutes left in the game to 5 minutes left in the game, and it was really solid. It was a defense-first unit with Kris Dunn, Terance Mann, Amir Coffey, Zoo. And it was partially because Amir Coffey got hot. He hit those two really tough shots from the foul line or right inside the foul line. One of them was that turnaround he hit. Then another was a fadeaway. Both tough shots. And then the shot clock buzzer-beating heave he had from several feet behind the line. And then he responds with a right corner line drive three that had barely had any arc in it. When he did that, I thought we were going to win. James Harden comes back in the game and he got a really good rest with about 5.5 minutes left. Hits 2 mid-ranges right when he comes back in. And then, as much as I hate to say it, and he was our best player in this game, this is the role of a star. And this is why James Harden should not be a number one option right now and is not intended to be. But it's a lot for him. You got to live and die by James. So while he did build up the lead in the third quarter and he did hit those 2 mid-ranges, he also turned the ball over 8 times in the game. He took a very ill-advised 3 when Devin Booker had just made a 3. And by the way, here was Phoenix's adjustment that you can argue changed the game for them. It was 99-90. We looked like we were in not cruise control, but we were about to, bring it home. Mike Budenholzer, in his first game as Suns coach, goes to a small ball lineup with Tyus, the big 3, and Royce O'Neal. So essentially Kevin Durant playing the 5, and they would switch everything, right? And Devin Booker makes a three to make it 99-93. And then James Harden, with about 12 on the shot clock, takes a heat check three from way behind the line. It's well short. He doesn't really get back, and KD scores in transition. So just like that, it's a 5-0 spurt to make it 99-95. Again, a missed shot is not always the same as a missed shot. That was a big momentum swing. And then we responded with small ball. And the reason why we did that is because we want to switch the pick and rolls, but also it gives James Harden a little more space. I do, however, think that Ty was a little quick to go to that. Zubac was great in the second half. Just leave him in. James Harden immediately responds with from the timeout with an airballed floater, but it looked like Tyus Jones fouled him, and they didn't call it. Now, there were a lot of calls that were BS against Zoo and Terance Mann in this game. However, Devin Booker, I have to say, there were some calls that were BS against him. So I'm not going to blame the game on officiating, but for a team that's at home opening up a new stadium, hello, are we ever going to get home-centric calls? Because Zubac and Terance Mann getting fouled out, part of it was because they were calling BS fouls early in the game. The second foul on Zubac early in the first quarter was a complete joke. Terance Mann's fifth foul was an atrocity to basketball. I don't understand what these refs are doing. I mean, we're back though, people. We're really back when I'm complaining about officials. But it's 99-95. James Harden airballs that floater, and then Terance fouls out. Now we bring Derrick Jones Jr. into the mix. We bring Zubac right back into the mix. We can the small ball, and we started trying to force feed Zoo. And there was one time where Harden threw the entry pass way too early when Zoo was still double teamed. Then the next play, Zubac knocked Royce O'Neal in the face, so he turned the ball over twice in a row trying to feed Zoo in the post. And Norman Powell was really struggling in that second half to get his own shot. And as I said, he's not really a get his own shot kind of guy. And you saw that on Wednesday night. He doesn't really have a bag like that. So I think Ty took Zoo out to not only switch defensively, but also to give James Harden more space offensively, because you knew the next shot, he wanted it to come from James. And we did, but it led to an and one where James Harden was right outside the restricted area. He had a foot in the restricted area, and KD got an and one. And then he was able to tie the game, James Harden, and then give us the lead. And then Kevin Durant made an insane shot, double team to tie the game. And on the last possession, I think it was the right decision not to call timeout, but James Harden took a little too long to go, or the screeners took a little too long to come up, because the play was to get Tyus Jones switched on to James Harden because he was the mismatch. And if you're going to do that, you need to come set that screen earlier, because when I saw 2 seconds on the clock, he had just gotten Tyus Jones on him, and he's at the top of the key behind the three-point line. He's not going to get a great shot there. So that was, it was a rushed floater. And then in overtime, Zoo fouled out. That really hurt us. And the Suns, even though Booker was out, KD and Beal made some big shots. Harden kind of ran out of gas, but he still had a chance to tie the game and missed a free throw, which was extremely rare. Yusuf Nurkic then ends up hitting 2 free throws, and then we get a chance to try to tie the game. And the ball slips out of Harden's hands because he was ready to turn before he caught the ball. So moral of the story, as much as James Harden got us back in it, he also cost us in many ways. But here's the thing. We're putting so much on him. He's not supposed to be in this role, and that's the sad reality without Kawhi, that we're going to have to live and die by Harden at 35 years old. But coming up, going to be talking more about why we can't kill James, and there's other avenues that we can use to get the most out of this team. What are some of the positive signs? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals on tickets last minute, right up to the start of the event. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. And Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I used Game Time for the Clipper game on Wednesday, and it was super worth it. Got a pretty solid deal. Obviously ended up in the supporter section, but if I didn't sit in the supporter section, I had a great ticket as well. And curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And Game Time will give you their lowest price guarantee, or they'll credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Ooh. All right. First night at the Intuit Dome. You know what was funny? And you all can see it if you watch the video that I'm going to release on Thursday. But every fan I talked to after the game, they weren't even harping on James Harden's missed free throw and the fact that we should have won the game. They were like, this stadium is insane. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. You know, if we had been going back to Crypto.com Arena or Staples Center with this team without Kawhi, you would not get this kind of attitude from the fan base. In a weird way, I felt like the 2021 Game 6 was one night that stood out from what had become a lethargic fan base when it comes to live noise at games. Ever since the 2016 season, it's felt as though the Clippers crowd was much more subdued than in previous years. And when I mean previous years, I mean like the peak of Lob City. And, of course, the 2006 playoff run. Why? There's a lot of reasons we can speculate on a different show. But it felt like I got my fan base back tonight. It felt like that roar that I heard throughout the game reminded me of Lob City with CP3 against the Spurs, with BG, those games against Golden State, against Memphis. There's only one game of the 2-1-3 era that makes me feel that way. And that was Game 6. It was an outlier. The game's starting to feel dead. I think everybody was kind of just over being at Staples Center anymore. So, to get to the Intuit Dome, if you have any chance, please come. It's unbelievable. Now, as I mentioned at the end of that first segment, we cannot kill James Harden. Here's what I learned about our team. Nothing new. Everything that I talked about in preseason, if you've been listening to the show, came to fruition and happened in front of our eyes. We don't have shot creators like that. It's a lot on James Harden and Kevin Porter. Kevin Porter was terrible, so it was really all on James Harden. Norman Powell came out really aggressive in the first half, but again, his game is predictable. He doesn't have crazy wiggle. His left hand isn't very good. He's really good coming off that curl left to right, but that's not give him the ball and let's see what happens. He's a very good shooter, but those shots kind of have to be created for him. And when he's making shots, then teams will react. They'll close out hard. Then he'll have a chance to get downhill. But the only pass he has in his repertoire is that underneath the basket, jump pass, scoop underneath to the guy in the dunker spot. And a jump pass, that's what you're discouraged to do at every youth level. It's not a good pass, and he gets caught all the time. And I'm a big Norman Powell guy, but he is who he is. And in the second half, he went cold. In the first half, let's see, I'm going to take a look at what his stat line was. In the first half, Norman Powell shot 3 for 8 and had 11 points to lead every Clipper. He was the only Clipper in double figures. But in the second half, he was 1 for 5, and I could feel it. 1 for 5 with 2 turnovers. We needed a little bit better, but at the same time, he's not going to be a shot creator. He just doesn't have a bag like that. It's the truth, and I love the guy. So it's really all on James. But what made this so interesting when I rewatched the game just now is that lineup that was defense first with Kris Dunn, Amir Coffey, Terance Mann, Zoo did so well even without one of those major shot creators in the game. And a lot of it's because we were getting stops and we were getting out and running. And Terance Mann, I thought besides the foul trouble, he was fantastic on Wednesday. His defense on ball was really good. He was sprinting to recover. I mean, he was playing with a sense of urgency. He was, as my co-coach Will Johnson likes to say, fighting the dribble, really getting into the offensive player and putting on good ball pressure. He was attacking in space, even looked a little, in the few pick and roll reps he got, turning the corner with purpose, like he was trying to go score. So I really liked what I saw from Terance outside of the foul trouble and the free throws. And that's a big reason we lost. free throws. Terance Mann, how many did he miss tonight or on Wednesday night? It was 0 for 3, and I said in the preseason, keep an eye out on Terance Mann's free throws because they don't look good. James Harden, 7 for 9. Ivica Zubac, 5 for 8. We ended up shooting 21 for 30 from the line. They shot 25 for 34. The Wall was doing some good work, getting them to miss free throws, but 21 for 30 is not good enough. You're shocked that James Harden, who had already missed a free throw in the game, misses that big one because he's usually so good with late-game free throws. But what can you do? As far as Terance, as I said, very good. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds. We wanted to see him rebound more, and he was doing that. 4 assists, 1 steal, and he was pushing the pace, playing good D, getting the crowd involved. 4 for 6 from the field. Took only 1 3, and it was early in the game, wide open, in and out. 0 for 3 from the foul line, as I said, but very solid performance in his minutes. Amir Coffey got 26 minutes, and he didn't miss a shot. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, no turnovers on 4 for 4 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. I thought he was really solid. His off-ball defense was very good in terms of ball denial. There were possessions in that second half where he was just preventing Devin Booker from touching the ball. His help defense was good. A little bit of reaching off the ball, a little too much in help. But other than that, I thought he was very solid. And it's interesting because I was talking to a lot of fans, and everything Amir Coffey's doing right now is being hyper-analyzed because Jordan Miller is looking so promising, waiting in the wings. But you got to remember, Jordan Miller's on a 2-way contract. He's only going to be able to play 50 games max. Amir Coffey, we still got to separate how much we want Jordan Miller to get reps from evaluating Amir Coffey's performance individually. Because in my opinion, Amir Coffey was good in this game, and it's not the reason we lost in any way. But James Harden, the moral of the story is we cannot kill this guy. Remember how he looked in Game 60 last season? And he was playing with 2 other stars. He shot 28 times, which, look, that's great. We want him to be aggressive. He was 10 for 28, though. He was 2 for 9 from 3. I like that he tried to get downhill. He did blow by Tyus Jones a couple times. So his burst looked pretty good, but his lift is not there at the rim at all. It hasn't been for a couple years. And he turned the ball over 8 times and missed a crucial free throw. So despite the fact that he had 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists and was our best player for sure, incredible in the third quarter where he scored 16 points, he's going to have to take us home. And if you think that's too big a role, that's why the Kawhi thing is so frustrating. Because what I learned as well is if we put Kawhi on this team, we're going to be good. Just how good and what impressed me so much defensively, going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app around. It's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. And PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back with the first night at the Intuit Dome, the first game of the 24-25 season. Historic in how electric it was, but we lost 116-113 to the dreaded Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, don't look impressive in the slightest. Their interior defense was just as poor as I thought it would be. The perimeter defense, though, not bad. Their point of attack defense was pretty good. Their rotations were good. I got to give Kevin Durant a big shout out. Every time we seemed to make a run, he was the one that silenced the crowd, and he was guarding James Harden. Even at this age. This is year 18 for Kevin Durant. Oh my God. That's insane to think about. We don't talk about his longevity enough. He even tore his Achilles. He was out there guarding James Harden as the primary defender in crunch time. It was amazing. And he was playing the 5 at times. It was like insane. He had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 turnovers on 8 for 17 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3. All 3 of the big 3 for the Suns shot well, but we had Booker with 15 points and Beal. Beal ended up playing well after with 24, but we had them all at bay at one point. And here's where I wanted to talk about our defense. Derrick Jones Jr., I talked about Terance already in Amir. Derrick Jones Jr. was so good defensively. Also a guy that's getting into the ball handler, fighting the dribble. Really good job staying big when he was trying to make the catch tougher for KD. He caused a turnover early in that second half by just having his arm out and making that entry pass to KD tougher. And I loved what I saw from Derrick Jones. Activity on ball, activity off ball. As I said so many times this summer, his rotation speed is so great. The way he can cover ground. I'm so looking forward to seeing him. And he shot the ball with confidence. But I will say there were times where he clogged up the spacing a bit because his man had left him when they were trying to, load up on James Harden at the top of the key. And Derrick has to stay spaced out, in my opinion, and force James Harden to give him the ball there if he's shooting so well. Because in this game, he shot only 2 threes and he made them both. So if that's the case, you need to keep on pulling, brother. We can't have 2 passive three-point shooters in Derrick and Terance. And if Derrick Jones wants to be in the dunker spot because he's a great lob threat, and we saw that lob earlier, that was beautiful, he can't quite do that with Zubac in the game because then that's just 2 guys around the rim clogging the space for James Harden, and you don't want Harden taking a ton of contested mid-ranges. But that brings me to James Harden and his game, right? I want to talk about the game as a whole from the beginning. The refs went from calling, in the beginning, by the way, they were calling everything. The fouls on Zubac were complete BS. As I predicted from the Suns side, Beal was going to guard Harden, and it doesn't matter who else was guarding everybody because the only guy that's going to create shots like that is going to be James Harden for us. And you knew what we were going to do. Try to get Tyus Jones in the action. On our side, I predicted Terance Mann to guard KD, but it was actually Derrick Jones Jr. on KD primarily. And then Terance was on Book. Norm was on Beal. And they kind of swapped here and there on possessions. But again, there's so much switching done in today's NBA that like who the primary defender is doesn't mean too much if you're going to switch 1 through 4 like both teams were. And both teams also had their bigs in drop. Clippers went to a high drop after Kevin Durant started making pull-up jump shots. But the reason why the Clippers, in my opinion, went through that huge slump in the first half is because Zubac, one, was taken out of the game with the fouls. He was getting pushed too far away from the basket. And then James Harden wasn't even looking at the basket. That mid-range is going to be there for him all year long, and that floater, and he has to take it. He's no longer good enough to just only take floaters, layups, and threes and average 30-plus or even 25 points a game. He has to take the mid-range. It's there. The thing about Harden is he's not quite good at stopping on a dime and pulling, and he's not the only one in today's NBA. A lot of guys aren't great at stopping on a dime and pulling from the mid-range, right? But here's what he does have. He has the mid-range going to his right where he pushes off and hits that little step back. He also has it going to his left, but going to his left, I think there are times where I've seen him 1-2 into the mid-range. And mind you, he did it in the second half. Could like basically walk into the shot. I've seen him practice it. I've seen him do it in games. He started doing it later. I don't know what was told to him at halftime, but in the first half, he was passing up all those shots. And there was even a moment where he got his own rebound on a free throw, had a wide open foul line jumper, didn't take it, and then also missed Terance Mann wide open in the right corner, pulled it back out, and we got a bad shot. So the first half, he was really struggling. Only 4 points and turning the ball over left and right. Really risky passes, whether it be an outlet attempt, pocket pass attempt. He was just fiending the assist a little too much. And I'm not saying he was stat hunting, but like just feeding the pass too much, not looking for his shot enough. And when he changed up, it changed everything for not only him, but Zoo. Zoo was then getting the ball in better situations on those pick and rolls, because when people are worried about James Harden scoring the ball, they're going to send more attention at him, and that's where the pocket pass opens up even wider for Zoo, who had some nice push shots in that third, even shot a foul line jumper, and you could just tell from his body language, he was fired up. Running the floor super hard, and I have to give everybody credit. They ran the floor well. Zoo, Kai Jones when he was in, who had 2 really nice dunks, looked a little bit lost communication-wise on defense at times, but he had that nice dunk over Mason Plumlee. He played 13 minutes, had 6 points and 4 rebounds on 3 for 5 shooting. So I really liked what I saw from Kai, but I like that Zubac's got 34 minutes because we want to see him get 30-plus minutes. This has to be a year for Zoo, and overall, we did actually try to go to him in the post more, and I like the early results because here's the thing. He was in foul trouble. He still had 21 points. If Zubac could even average 15 and 10, it'll be a net positive. If he averages 18 and 10, okay, then maybe we will maybe we will be in play-in territory even without Kawhi. I mean, because defensively, he was shutting down the paint. If you look at the points in the paint battle, Phoenix, 42 points. Guess how many we had? 62 points. But the three-point battle, that's where they beat us. We shot 14 more shots than them. 14. And they shot 4 more free throws. We killed them on the offensive glass, 13-4. That's why we got so many extra shots. But they hit 15 threes to our 8. We shot 28% from 3. They shot 39.5%. But I'm not going to say threes made the difference in the game. They just made up the difference from them not rebounding. We missed free throws, and our best player, we only have one star to their like 3. I mean, there's not much else to say. We're relying on James Harden a lot, and we can't burn him out. But let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, we did a great job crashing the offensive glass. A lot of that was Terance and Derrick Jones using their athleticism and length. We're clearly more athletic this year and better defensively. And Kris Dunn, oh man, his defense in the second half was so good. He pickpocketed KD clean and then finished on the other end. I mean, he was getting the crowd pumped. Great defender, even made a 3. Still wasn't fully looking at the basket as much as I would like him to off the catch, but the guy can guard. And then I hated how in the second quarter the refs went from calling everything to then calling nothing. James Harden had 3 or 4 chances, or 3 or 4 times where he was fouled, and then they didn't call anything. And even late in the game, I just thought it was BS. So yeah, the refs definitely hurt us as well, in my opinion. But I'm not saying that they weren't harsh on Booker either, but I think they were harsher on the Clippers, and we're the home team. But again, I am watching it from our perspective. I think they were, though. There were some nonsense calls. The Suns went on a 14-0 run in that second quarter, so it was pretty bad. And mind you, like when people talk about, I heard a lot of fans saying, "Oh, we're just running iso ball. It's just no plays being run." No, when the Suns go small, they're trying to get us. They're trying to switch everything, which means that we are going to be put in one-on-one situations. And every team James Harden goes to has these complaints. It's stagnant. It's iso ball. It's a lot of dribbling. That's what he does. You have to accept it. It's part of why I was so anti. So I'm anti the way he plays. But the Clippers roster has left us no choice but to rely on that. So yes, I feel as though it's taxing the way to play the way that he does, which is a lot of face up. Which is, no, not a lot, all face up, a lot of ball handling, constantly on the ball at the top of the key. It's taxing for a 35-year-old. Does that mean we're doomed? No, the Suns are a good team. But there's a lot of teams that are around that level. And we need Kawhi back, is basically what I'm saying. And yeah, that's all I got there, really. It was a really fun game, though. And I think I'm fairly optimistic at the fact that Zoo, Norm, Coffee, Terance, and Dunn lineup was so good. And I think it really just starts with defense. Our defense has a lot of potential, man. I love it. Jeff Van Gundy really into things. It was great. But we needed a better close from James because he's all we got right now, really. He has to carry. Really, it's the situation. Derrick Jones Jr. in his Clipper debut had 12 points, 4 boards, an assist, 2 steals. Zubac, as I mentioned, 21 points, 9 boards, 3 assists. 3 turnovers, though, on 8 for 13 shooting, 5 for 8 from 3. Would have liked one more of those. I mentioned James Harden, 29 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists short of a triple-double. He did a great job rebounding. The fact that James Harden led us in rebounds is crazy. But that's what happens when the other team shoots a lot of threes, and you're definitely going to believe that Budenholzer is going to try to tell him to shoot more threes this year. Norm finished with 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on 5 for 16 shooting, 1 for 7 from 3. So we need better from Norm. 6 for 6 from the foul line. Kris Dunn, 5 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals on 2 for 4 shooting and 1 for 2 from 3. Thought he was very solid. KPJ, 2 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, and a steal on 1 for 8 shooting and 0 for 4 from 3. So really rough game for him in 13 minutes. And then Nico Batum, really quiet. And he has a tendency to be fairly quiet these days. But 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 0 for 2 from the field. Both his shots were threes. Only played 24 minutes, and I think we'll see some good games from Nico. I just think he's on the older side, and he plays off ball. So he's not going to be doing in-your-face things, but I think he'll have better games. And I don't know. I got nothing to say about him really like that. Unfortunate loss. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Check out my video. It's coming out. It's going to be amazing. And it's great to be back and starting this new era. It's really special. It was so loud in there. People were talking about we were pumping in fake crowd noise. Are you insane? There's no fake crowd noise. That was real. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know what you thought in the comment section. Hit the notification bell. And, of course, you can listen on audio whenever you want, wherever you get your podcasts. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. We're just getting started, people. Talk to you on Friday.